Good morning, wonderful traders. I just want to mention a couple of things. I not financial wise whatsoever, but I had a trade on, well, added a trade on this morning. On Aussie CAD, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, because I believe Australia is going to have more inflation. CAD because it's been so high and been so strong, and it at least short term will have some bearish trends whenever the Iran situation is solved. And it seems to the market is pricing that now in, and I want to be a part of that. Um, I added on my euro dollar, already had something, added something here. So it's more like a day trade entry that I hope to keep for a longer time. We'll see how long that goes. Um, for pound dollar, I think I got a fantastic entry here. But yeah, going into great details, coming back down to support, higher high, higher low. It's the same thing as yesterday. But yesterday I wasn't so confident in this because I was having an entry around the same area, but it wasn't. I didn't like the fact that back then, um, that they had said that they were going to send troops, or they were sending troops, and then at the same time, Iran hadn't really confirmed that there were even negotiations. Now that they have, or at least agreed to something, at least that they were going to speak on Thursday, so tomorrow, at least that helps me a bit better. What slipped my tongue was this EuroCAD, both yesterday and today. But and the reason I didn't take it is it's a bit, well, it's a bit a lot. It's a bit a lot. It's a bit a lot. It's a bit a lot of stop loss. Um, so today was kind of would have been a better day. Managing risk and everything, and again, I'm just talking about how I would trade. Um, and then it's just 50 pips down to previous support. So yes, 50 or 70 pips down stop loss would have been great. But if taking today, that would be like 160. So you know that would have been great if it just came back a bit lower. So that's kind of why I got in on Aussie CAD, because it was much quite much bearish, the Aussie. The other problem here is, as people have pointed out, Aussie has been quite strong for quite some time, so it's not necessarily very. It might not have a lot of upside momentum, but for me, this makes perfect sense for this one to turn higher. Now you can see right now that they're in profit. Okay, sorry. I took the trade, I came back, and whew. What generally tends to happen, or not necessarily 100% of my trades, but most of my trades, you're going to get a better entry. So if I entered yesterday, you would have had a better entry at some point. If I entered any other day, in this case, you would have a better entry. Are you going to get that today? I do not know, but don't be in despair. It is always coming down at some point, anyways. So the same thing for euro. Like this euro dollar could collapse on itself. It's quite quote unquote a late entry. Um, so because we have, what is it now? One, two, three. So we are on the third one. So we are in the last kind of areas I really want to be in it. So that means that all the way from here to here, it's a potential, again, a secondary entry. So don't um don't be in despair just because the market left as after the trade. So that's one thing. And then the Aussie. Australian dollar, US dollar hasn't made a new high yet. Um, that so that means that there's still potential. We would have wanted this one to continue with the other dollar pairs, so that's a bit of concern. And then uh, where and the other part about what I've been thinking about, if the entire world is going into inflationary status, all macros are just looking higher, is commodities going to go higher first, or is dollar going to go higher first? And my kind of conclusion this time around was that commodities was to rise and become the strongest. And it doesn't seem to be that's going to be the case, or that could be the case this time around. So it's just about which country picks up inflation first. My kind of side has been that the commodity currencies are picking up the inflation first. But also remember, we are pricing 2 or 3 rate hikes for various central banks lately. So that could also be pushed back and say, hey, we don't have that much inflation to support the current pricing that we currently have. So that could, of course, send euro dollar low or pound dollar low or, for that matter, Aussie. So for me, what I'm looking for on a general scale, general is always general, is and want higher highs and higher lows. So that's kind of how you would see here on euro. We have a high, we have a higher low, we have a higher high, we have a higher low. There's my first entry. And then now we have a higher high, higher low again. So where this entry could have been even all the way down here, but this level ish on 115.80 or 90 or something, all of them to me are acceptable places of entry. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in Aussie. It is a bit of wait and see game. I don't know why it doesn't do what I wanted to do, but I get my do what I'm gonna do. Dollar Swiss has not met a new lower low. We have also seen S&P come out and said, hey, we may go into negative rates. That means that the Swiss is going to be weaker, and week against week isn't necessarily what I want to see. So in these terms or in this world, I really want I really want a new lower low if I am ever going to be interested in it, and it's not really at the moment doing that. So it's what can we call it? It's not dead, but it's not a piece of trade either. It's I'm looking, but it's not really speaking to me. And for that matter, if you're a buyer in dollar and buyer in dollar, this might be one of those trades that actually would go in your favor. So that's kind of to the upside with the current SNB. But if then, I would argue, if anything, would have been something in that direction. But again, it is uh, it depends on the dollar future, and of course, with dollar cost weak, this should and tend to go lower. Dollar yen, hi, stuck. Isn't really making a move lower, and that is kind of disappointing, eh? If you compare that to euro, which is stronger and making higher highs and higher lows, dollar yen is not moving. Well, it's kind of bouncing up and down, isn't it? And that makes me a bit worried. If I were to be a seller, of course, love this to go to the upside. There is just one problem: Bank Japan. They said they will intervene in the yen pairs. They don't want this. They don't want this volatile market, and they're concerned about FX moves. And if we assume that if it goes up to 160 or so, or they haven't mentioned price, but they were quite firm here, so that's quite close. That they were going to intervene if yen didn't strengthen, then okay, we should be prepared for that. And then how that could generally look out is that it goes up and then goes a bit higher, but then smack down again. So be kind of prepared for that on the ends. That's why I'm a bit concerned, or not concerned. That's I'm a bit conservative here on euro yen. I'm not being aggressive on it because it can slam dunk 500 pips or so. Same thing for pound yen. I'm not really trying to force it or chase this one. It is a lovely. It's a lovely pair. It gives you a lot of peps and it gives you a lot of volatility, if you know what I mean. A lot of stop losses. So I want a clear cut market. That clear cut market, if anything is like this, but then it is pound yen, it will come down 100% on you. So you have to be very careful of when and where you get in. Of course, could have been inside here and gone higher, but at the time of 19th of March, I wasn't really confident. We didn't have the clarity for that matter. So buying there where stop loss might be about 100 and 200 pips isn't necessarily a part of how I want to trade. I want to have a bit more tighter stop losses and not so much not so much wide open possibilities. And also what I saw yesterday, I didn't see yesterday a clear cut road forward. That is very important for me that I have one is profitability, but two it's also that we have a clear cut road, meaning there is competitive advantage here. There is a likely path, but if you are 50-50, if the market if your reading, if your understanding and in your analysis is kind of like we can go both ways, do you then have competitive advantage in such an environment? And some do, and I acknowledge that. But for me, it is a bit difficult. I have to say that it's a bit difficult to come out in a 50-50 market. I really want 70-30 market, which I'm trying to build into to Australian dollar, because right now, I mean, some we had a not a discussion, but I commented on someone's post in Discord talking about that what's a good buy on, was it Aussie Swiss probably. And my theory there is that if you buy, let's say you bought 54.80, great entry, but there was a difference between that and then continuation of this. And to me, that I found out that I need to protect myself is that we do higher highs and higher lows, and then we can try. But that, of course, doesn't protect me always. But you want to at least make sure that the sellers are out, that you have gotten buyers coming in, and then this Aussie Swiss is with this Swiss weakness potentially coming. That would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, said differently. With Aussie strength coming in, if we get Aussie strength, if we get Swiss weakness, then this should be a pair that I should be looking into. It's it's not really ready yet. I can see people trying to trade it, and understandably so. It's a lot of fun, I would argue. But yeah, I'll have to wait and have to pass for now. Not pass. I'll wait. And it's just one candle I need right now. So even if it is for an hour or so, um, no, if it's just a 1 hour candle, then yeah, sure, we'll take it. If you are new here, I do have a Discord, and I haven't posted my trades there yet, but I am supposed to do that after the stream. So if you are here now, this is kind of the time to ask questions about the trades or anything else for that matter, so that we can take it in group. You can see it in video, and then it is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Because for me, it takes a long time to type everything out. But when I can just be here live for a moment and then say, hey, this is what I did, this is how I did it, and then we can all be all in agreement for the sake of time. Okay. Gold. Okay. I said earlier, and you can go back in recordings and whatever. I said bullish. I think I said it on Monday as well, bullish. And I think this is going to continue. Uh, and gave you a good four drivers of this gold. Where are we going to go? I don't know. Do I want to say we're going back up to 2006? No. So we are going to go day by day, step by step, and see how the environment plays out. I've also mentioned on Monday that we can still rise, but we can also hard fall back. So that has to go into your risk assessment. But currently, and this is very encouraging, and this is where I would believe that market should go. Now, why would it go higher? Because if we have a solution, we are going to price in less likeliness of higher inflation. We are going to price in, so it's going to be the relief rally. Sellers are getting out technically. And then number three is that if I were in the Middle East or anywhere in the world for that matter, I'll be like, this world is crazy. I want to have something safe. And then if I were in the Middle East, I probably won't have my money in real estate if this is going to happen again or continuing. And then the question is, how is the long-term effect going to be in the GCC countries' real estate market? Am I able to get out if I want to get out? And of course, it's difficult to say now, but I'll be pretty cautious. So I would rather put my money into gold. And then, do we have bullish seasonality probably also coming at some point? Not really. Um, but those are, and then the shock that had we have fallen quite a lot. So it's a better price for central banks to buy at 4,100 rather than buying 5,007, 5,005. So if you are a long-term investor thinking, hey, I'm gonna have it anyways. It doesn't really matter the technicalities, but in our model that we see that we're getting closer to a fair value, then sure. You look at NatGas. I can. I'm not sure if I'm on the right one. I don't think this is the right. I don't know if this is the right ticker. Natural. This is. So I guess it depends. It depends. Is it going to be futures funds? The futures? Um, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, the generality of this is that I would argue that it should probably fall. But then it all depends. Are we able to? I don't think it's the real one even. Um, like in this current environment, I would believe it should fall, given that we don't have any more disruptions. So it's highly politically driven, or risk sentiment driven, sorry. That so I don't know what you're thinking about that, Tinjing, but if you're thinking of buying that gas, you are a month to the party, I think. And I would imagine it to fall, but I think there should be a lot of volatility because there's a difference between physical and futures, and there's a difference between so what the market believes to be okay and resolved, but the actual physical market is not resolved yet. So then there's going to be a disconnect in there in that situation. So just the market will be like, okay, everything is great because it's resolved, but the physical market isn't because it's physically not out there yet. Um, so yeah. Good morning, Joe, or good evening, Joe. So to me, I would have like a long-term kind of bearish outlook on it, but very humble to the fact that nat gas should be and could be very volatile, could even turn higher, on the fact that we are disconnected between physical delivery and futures, and those are two different worlds. as far as I know, we still haven't opened the strait fully, both for natural gas, for oil, for fertilizers. So there's going to be a disconnect there between what could be delivered and what is actually delivered. Because at the end of the day, when you are delivering to customers, you know, that's where the pain point is. Is there still enough and delivered to customers? Um, and as far as I know, no. So it's a tricky one. It's a tricky directional. I would rather say, I mean, oil is easier. Not that not that that's easy either, but it's I can understand this when I've had this expectation of lower lows and lower highs for a few days now, and it doesn't seem to have liked my drawing because it didn't really do how I wanted it to. But if I just did that, then sure, it looks perfect. But we haven't made a lower low, and we are about $87 on the VTI and about 98 on Brent. That means we still haven't resolved the issue. We have hopes, we have dreams, but we don't have an actual fix. That's what the market is basically telling us with this price action. Um, and then it's kind of more the fact of that we have a resolution would be of better. But also remember, we are not even back down to the lows of 9th of March, which was deemed to be like kind of an end, not an end, but like that was before the escalations really took place. So that was just the initial bombings and stuff. So and no real escalations, but again, and there were some hitting back and forth. But then when they started on the oil fields, they started on desalination. They closed the Strait of Hormuz, uh, which is probably back here as well. You know, when things really looked thick, market really went higher with it, and that hasn't really been priced out yet. So that is, of course, taken with a grain of salt, but I'm bearish on it. And then we would have to see what kind of um, if it continues. And I would rather play the CAD part of this, the CAD trade part of it more than anything else. So CAD yen is falling quite hard. Euro yen is falling hard. Dollar yen is falling whatever. New Zealand yen, okay, going against the grain here. Pound yen. So okay, so I mean, Euro yen is coming down for all right, cool, great, coming down for a pullback. I'm just going to double check. That's a daily target. Fair enough. That's not weekly, thank God. And it's monthly? Probably not because that's wrecked. Why am I even on this one? To see monthly. So if we are at monthly target, I am not scared, but I would be like, okay, cool, yeah, far away. Okay, it's just a daily target. Okay, it's just a daily thing then. Fair enough. That is absolutely fantastic. Great, fair. Thank you very much for giving me a pullback. We should come back down to 84, 184. So I'll say if that could give me, if that can give me that candle now, then I'll be, yeah. Max is said he took New Zealand CAD. Why did it not take New? No, yeah, because sorry. Because they didn't. Because I saw that the New Zealand Reserve Bank of New Zealand came out and said, "Hey, we don't think we're going to have a lot of inflation." But that's a great trade. Do I like the price action? Range. Yeah. Okay. Let's go over that one for a moment. Why and where? Okay. Double bottoms. Higher high. So that would but I am in a position where this is what I'm looking for over here. So that would be between 38 and 618. Okay, so that's an area that's great. Bullish, 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 bullish. Central, monthly, wrong. This one, daily. So it would be a daily entry, and that would be here. So it would be a daily entry there. That's how I would trade it. And then stop loss below whatever. It says 50, okay, let's go back down. I would probably be in a trade like that. Now, the problem here, as you might identify, that we went higher, we went lower, we went in range. We had a new higher high, but we came all the way back down again. And for me, it's invalidated when, okay, fair enough, but this is also not something I like. But when we break here, I see that as failed. Not necessarily it's failed. This turn higher has failed. So for me to enter again over here, I'm more thinking this is a range now. And if it's not a range, then show me higher highs and higher lows. Okay, just be very straightforward with me. So to me, that's probably why I didn't feel it. But great job, Maxi. Great job. But of course, it's kind of also, if you add Aussie cat on top of it, probably the same market or so. I think at futures, I'm not going to futures, sorry. But yeah, Aussie cat is way higher, way stronger. So, okay, makes sense. So to me, I feel like this is a whole new reversal situation. Higher high, higher low, higher. It's not a higher high high. It's a higher high and higher low, locally at least. So we have what I would call like turnaround. So I'm looking at it now. I'm like, did I do the right thing? I don't know. We'll see. It's a part of the game. If I lose the game, it's okay. Because if we go down here again, it's failed. So fine. I wasn't right anyways. Then I'll come back again later. So yeah. And 12 of you guys today. Very much welcome. And I believe everyone is new here. Nobody's never been here before. So that makes us great conversations for any assets, anything you want me to cover, because I'm just going to go around what I want to do. But if you're interested in specific assets, class, fundamentals for that matter, what drives the market is kind of what I'm looking for. Then technically, okay, I want a reversal, I want a higher lows, I want a trend, so I don't end up in a lot of losses trying to catch a falling knife. And I'm holding on for quite some time, for as long as it's how I want to trade. Not to say that I did it, but I want to trade like this and then catch most of it. I want to be 80% of the move, not 100, because sometimes it drops like just before here, and then it drops and then goes back to break even. So I figure out, okay, I can't always get all of the moves, always, but I remember like it's a good child. For those who remembered my Aussie dollar trade, when was it? Oh, it was a beautiful. It was a reversal. I don't know where it was. Let's say it was this one then. Let's say it was this one. I entered, I bought, and then whatever the price is, it hit within half a pip, and then it fell all the way down again. So that's crisp. I try to not to say I'll avoid it, but I don't know in advance where we're gonna go. But that's the precision I want to have, and then I want to have a bit of kind of like not exactly the bottom of the candle before going higher. I'm more of get in and manage your stop loss more than getting the exact pip or 1 minute time frame, something new. If I can get in somewhere, cool. I'll be happy with that. It doesn't. I mentioned Eurocat earlier, and I tried. I had a limit order there, but it didn't come down to it, so it kind of just took off. So this one didn't work out. This one didn't work out. This one didn't work out. So it's just climbing away, and we're already back almost soon to where we started. So maybe I need to, I don't know, have a rundown with myself of why I'm not getting anything here. Um, I want to be cautious, but I also don't want to be too cautious. But I don't feel like to me the pullbacks hasn't been deep enough. Setting ourselves up for a lot of potential, like there's a lot of pips if it goes against us. So that might have been the psychology behind why I couldn't get in. But again, what I normally talk about is that if it's within 10 pips of your entry, anyways, do it. But limit orders doesn't work like that, as if you are there physically. So, my bad for not just get in, CAD. The funny thing about CAD, why couldn't it just have shorted on Monday? Because I don't do yen again. I don't do weak yen. I don't do strong yen. Sorry. So would have been a great trade for that matter. But yeah, Aussie CAD, no, New Zealand CAD. Yeah, we talked about that one. Pound would have actually been quite a great one. Hit entry yesterday. Hit entry today. Um, can hit tomorrow as well. On this pound is that it could just do 100 or 200 pips in a day. I'm like, oh, well, sorry. That's my psychology with it. But straight, not blindly. But this should have been easy. This should have been easy. But it just wasn't on my radar. So I need to take note of that. Actually. Good morning. Do you look at pound Aussie as well? Weak Aussie, weak pound. Yeah. Let us have a discussion about what's weak or not. Should we see? No, it's not there. Currency strength. Because I'm not going to just tell you what I think. I'm just wanting to. Oh, thank you, thank you. Weekly. So pound is very strong this week. That's probably why. And then Aussie seems to be weak. But if I were to, so I see pound as strong, and I also see Aussie as at least potentially strong or should be strong. So I find that to be too correlate to price to currencies, and a currency pair that should probably just go whatever and wherever. And it generally does follow where pound wants to go. Pound is very strong in the crosses, so it has gone higher. Also with also weakness, but so I mean, if you're right, and if I want to be right, it's very easy to say, okay, new lower, lower, lower high, sell it tomorrow. Type of thought process, and avoid entering now because that's just to me way too aggressive. But something like this would be then appropriate for me. But I don't know if I don't know if I see that movement happening now because of this strength. But I mean, it could always change. We have plenty of data to turn it around if that's necessary. So, do you have anything today that would drive it in your direction? I'm looking for weakness in the pound. Yeah, so you have the services that is not doing too great. That was yesterday, and then this morning you have core CPI that's stronger than expected. CPI as expected. You have producer price index, which is better. No, let's see. Okay, input is higher, but output is lower. So that's not so great. That's probably one thing. And then you have the retail price index. It's high, is lower than expected, but it's not adjusted for inflation, and it's also in the inflation numbers. So I would rather go in with inflation, and that's 3.2 core and 3 consumer. And CPI, I think it's still pretty okay strong. If I remember correctly, Aussie also has an inflation rate about the same and around the same. So I really want more difference in inflation so that we can have different directions. So if I say 3.1, it was 3.7. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, it's still quite strong. Still quite strong. So it's New Zealand that had 3.1. It's still strong. So that is higher inflation. Okay, might be onto something. And even if the market agrees, then I would argue it's a very easy piece, lemon squeezy. Just wait for new lower low. Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, we are seeing profits coming in. Right. Okay. Going back to my euro dollar trade, because I could see some red over here. But yeah, okay, cool. So what I'm looking for now is very easy, straightforward, new higher highs. If we break, so can close break 1570, I'll be I'll be I'll be I'll be a bit more worried about what is currently happening here. I would be concerned, but again, as long as we are above 1420 and 1450, 60, it's still poised to the upside. So what could turn this around, allegedly at least, is the complete collapse of the negotiations. Good morning. What about BTC? Oh, look at that. What countries do you think will be most impacted by fuel shortage globally? Um, Now we already see Philippines, we already see Thailand, we already see Australia of the major countries being in struggle. But to me, I would argue, okay, for those who hasn't already have issues, I think Japan is going to be in a particularly strained situation. So that would probably be more difficult. So East Asia, um, any countries East Asia, because the Europes, the Americans, the Canadians, the Mexicans, um, they have access to unrestricted oil somehow, somewhere. Though some of these countries from do get something from the Middle East, but majority of East Asia gets it from Middle East. So China has Russia to help out, but so Australia or Japan, it doesn't have their own oil industry at all. Um, Also Africa, East Africa, emerging markets is going to have a very difficult time when they don't have their own oil production. So who is going to be the most affected? I think we already see those. Thailand, Bangladesh, Vietnam, something in that direction. But of the tradable countries, Australia or Japan, probably. without doing the deepest research I've ever done in my entire life on it. But yeah. Which direction, Ted? So BTC, yeah, thank you. Now, Bitcoin for me is kind of like a propped up version of S&P 500, where it's just basically volatile for the fun of it. And I am thinking it should rise. The Philippines declared national emergency due to the price of oil. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am. Like, but then we don't to trade. The Philippine, was it Philippines? What currency do they have? Um, like I don't. It's not liquid enough for us to trade it. But so of the G7 countries, I was I would say Australia or Japan. But for emerging markets, it's going to be a very dire situation very quickly. I heard that Kenya had the last shipment this week of oil, and they don't have their own production. They don't have any ability to get oil from anywhere else in their own country to support their systems. But on the other side of that is that their power grid is powered by hydro. So compared to Cuba, which is driven by oil or supported by oil, and that's how they get electricity. Some countries now will be benefiting because they have, or benefiting. It's not the right word. It's not going to be complete loss of everything because they have hydropower. But for any country, lack of oil, lack of fuel is horrible to the growth and the economy. So that's why I'm wondering why Bitcoin isn't rising more. I'm also wondering why they didn't put the bets, the $1 billion in Bitcoin while they were still at it. But I'm bullish on it. What price? Don't know. And the reason why I'm bullish on it is because we would go risk on now soon. And we have halved. We have come down to 60. So I think that was the initial target that I thought we could do, and then we'll just see how things goes beyond there. If there and the other part of why I'm bullish is that the U.S. government is pro crypto. So and then people, when they are done being scared, they'll want to put it back into risk assets. So to me, I'm just waiting for it to turn around. I don't have any trades on here, but I mean, it's very encouraging that it has made a high and a higher low, and that's just micro. But yeah, that's because it doesn't have a bullish trend yet, so I'll wait for that. Because once it start trending, then to me it's pretty much straightforward. But if you look to last year, April wasn't that great, so maybe May. But also the April last year was the tariffs, so that's also a difficult part of it. But yeah, wait for the bullish trend, and one side or one indicator of that is when the Iran situation is over, how do they react to it? Because it didn't really fall much, even with the war. So that's very strange. So maybe it's resilient. Pesos. Thank you, Armani. So yeah, that's not liquid enough for us to trade it, but it would have been great to try to trade it. Dollar. What did you say? Vietnamese, Philippines, Filipino peso. Okay, okay, not that bad then. It's 60 against the dollar. Okay, I don't know. Do we even have access? I don't think we have access to it even. But I would definitely be in the more bullish dollar Philippine situation. But yeah, I look at that. That would have been a trade if okay. That has to go okay 4%. Only 4% higher, or is that a lot? Let's do euro dollar. We're in the same situation. Okay, double. Okay, cool. Okay. I need to be PHP. Okay. That has to be in our arsenal of things to look for in the next oil crisis then. It needs to be written down. Does anyone know what the Vietnamese currency is? Or can Google it. Oil crisis. Okay. Currency works. Vietnamese dong. Vind. Okay, let's see if we can find that then. USD VND. Who said it? Nobody said it. Okay. Okay. That doesn't seem to be. Okay. Fair enough. It's bullish, but daily. It doesn't seem to be very liquid. It would have been higher then. And for March, just a percent. Okay. Nothing that much then. Cool. Great. You're very much welcome. Cat Swissy, do apologize for the time delay. Should be bearish. I don't know if you were here earlier when I said that the Swiss National Bank wants to intervene and make Swiss weaker. They also want to look into negative rates. That would be very bearish for Swiss. So going forward, I'll be Swiss bearish. And it hasn't really driven the market anywhere. But I just know that when they announce it, it's going to be very weak. So that would be dollar Swiss higher. That would be CAD Swiss higher. That would be Aussie Swiss higher or New Zealand Swiss higher. CAD Swiss would of course go higher. But again, we are in a weak situation then because CAD is weak. I would imagine it to go weak. At least short term, maybe this week or next week, until we have figured out that Canada is also going to have inflation. Until then, I'm going to be very apprehensive. Is that the right word? Apprehensive? Then yeah. Then I'll do that. So, and also, yeah, I think I tried to buy it at some point, but doesn't speak to my soul. And the reason are, as I said, that as long as we don't have a strong CAD, as long as we don't have a strong, or for that matter, also then strong, on opposite here, I feel like they are both weak. And markets, to be honest with you, in March, it rose, but it hasn't really come back down again to where the fair value was. Should it? I don't know. It should, but I don't know if it will do that against Swissing. Now that that's the new norm here. Okay, you're coming. What did I say? What did I start the stream with? I said, just because it made a new high, just because it made a push now, doesn't mean that you're not going to get a better entry than me. I mean, yours is coming down again, so you're welcome. The contrarian, can you explain me why? Like, you're an expert, right? What I want to know is how you look at it. Like, what's your evaluation on it? Because I'm not going to say what I think before that. And the reason is I just cannot get my head around how range bound it is. So I have a very limited mindset. So I want you to expand and Enlighten me, please. Because I don't see a lot of opportunity. That's why. So I want to see if you see opportunity. Because I bought euro this morning, so I would obviously believe that both of them should be strong. And if both of them are strong at the same time, then I would inherently then believe that they would be strong at the same time, and therefore this one should be a range bound. The way forward for this could be that one of these two kind of currencies, one of these two kind of economies shows up weaker in the data. So yeah, it seems like two weak currencies, at least during the euro conflict, seems weaker. I would agree with that one. Yeah, for the war ends, euro should recover perhaps slightly better. Do we have that? So we have a couple of instances that we can check. So first of all, during so that is when we had, so that's when euro got stronger, because of all the mass exit dollar, exit US stocks going into Europe. On the 9th or so, I think it was, that it was announced euro pound fell, and then after all fell. Okay. And then we had during the 2022 invasion, February 20 what something. I wouldn't say that this is yeah, no. So I think it's I think it's a theory that euro pound would go higher, uh, and then euro would recover better. I have a gut feeling that pound will recover better, and that's not necessarily a kick to euro, but it's more like sometimes pound is so strong out of not necessarily out of nowhere, but for whatever reason that is. Um, but also even during this conflict, pound has been stronger than euro. Euro has been falling more, therefore euro pound falling. So you would then imagine that coming back online, that this should revert back to where we started in 28th of February. So on that basis, I can agree with you. The law of returning to mean, then that could definitely be a case. But I mean, you have a reversal, a number one trade there. So and the only way higher is for it to show us that it goes higher. I kind of mistrust this one, so I don't want to jump into a trade. But I mean, it's a theory. It's not a theory that I would jump on blindfolded, but it's one for the books or one for the theories, and then we can come back later. Um, yeah, cool. So everyone who is here today, everyone has subscribed, everyone has liked the stream. Thank you. Of course, I had to make a mess. One time I poured coffee on this keyboard, so I had to take the whole keyboard apart and then wash as much as I could because it was coffee with chocolate in it. So seem to have never learned then. You're very much welcome. 2 seconds. Okay, back. Cool. Okay, let's sorry. Let's have a bit of a recap. I bought euro and 15. Is it 94? 92? Double check. Euro trade 94. 1594 and pound at 33.78. They went straight into profit earlier, has a bit of a pullback now. And what I normally say is if normally when I take a trade, I think, okay, everything is going to be great. And as you can see, there is always, not always, but generally always, you are able to get a better entry than me. So just because I have an entry right now, which is how I trade, there's still potential. And pound dollar for that matter could fall lower. The negotiations can fall apart. So I am betting basically that it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. So I just thought, okay, let's have a stab at it this morning. I wanted to buy EuroCAD, couldn't really get back down to it, so or market was too aggressive on it. So all right, cool. Thank you very much. I'll see if I can catch you later. Maybe I don't know if maybe, but seems to be have a low or ish around New York. So maybe coming back to New York could give us a better entry at a better price. Don't know. Your New Zealand, I don't really have anything there. I had an entry on not financial rights whatsoever. I had an entry on. Did I remove it? Thank you. Also, cat about 9606. I'll go into Discord and clean up what I posted because I just posted and then went online. So again, it's Aussie becoming stronger, Canada being weaker, Aussie being because of higher inflation, CAD because it was artificially stronger because of the higher oil price. Now the oil price likely to come down again, should also make CAD come down again. This one to turn higher. And all of this depends that the Iranians and the Americans becomes friends and get a deal. Now there is huge stumbling blocks in that I need to pass. So I hope that it works out for them. Trade would also have been a British pound, Canadian dollar. It's just that it's a lot of pips for my entry. So that's 79 just there, or 200 pips down there. So once it moves a lot. And I mean, could of course always go better and become better and all that. I just don't want that also to fall hard on me. Once ever it works out. So if you look last year out of the tariff situation, market reacted negatively on the news, but then eventually did send pound higher. If we go back to the 2022 situation, yeah, CAD was stronger, and it was sending pound lower. So that's, I guess, if we are not having a solution for we're not having a resolution to this, then they should fall. So yeah, I don't want to be too aggressive on it. And then euro yen, something I'm looking at right now. I want dollar yen to go away from 159, 160. We seem to just dance around slightly higher every single day. Bank of Japan said they're going to intervene they haven't, because price haven't been up to their level yet. But if I start to hold long term, in my humble opinion, I might get stopped out or wrecked out. So I try to avoid that. New Zealand yen hasn't made a higher high. Aussie yen hasn't made a higher high. Australian dollar hasn't made a higher high, and New Zealand dollar hasn't made a higher high. Dollar Swiss is turning a bit higher, so again, not weakness there either. And Swiss yen, I wanted to buy this one when it was up there, and I was like, maybe not, and that's why maybe not. So with the weakness in Swiss, that would probably send Euro Swiss higher. Cool. And that's probably another trade that I could have taken, thought about it, but didn't do anything about it. And definitely with the win to go. Now the difference and the problem here is, it is market versus central bank. Who is going to win? Now that has been the case for this year, and market has been winning ever since 2026. So maybe the threat about negative rates has turned the market situation around and Swiss becomes weaker. Then I would argue that Aussie Swiss would have been a great trade, or New Zealand Swiss or Pound Swiss. But yeah, it's at least open for discussion if it comes back lower or it sets up. But I mean, if I were to enter like normally a trade, I would be entering here, though with 17th of March. Weaker Swiss in a risk off situation isn't necessarily to my thought process. So that market kind of went not necessarily without me, but it doesn't fit the view that I had at the time, regardless. But does it fit after this fact? Yeah, that could be the case. So could have had an entry here, but again, it's very, very, very late. So yeah, Bitcoin to the upside, Ethereum to the upside, dollar to the downside, but has just come into some kind of range now, and I think it's, well, dollar should fall once all this is returned. But of course, it's very, I wouldn't say nerve-wracking, but it's very disturbing that it's not continuing to fall. Oil as well has stopped falling. That again shows that the market is apprehensive. We haven't really, well, the situation is not over. We are lower on hopes and prayers, but not actually broken. It's $80. That means there was still a lot of risk premium left in the market, and that it can still go higher. So don't marry that this is going to go lower, even though I have kind of married myself to the fact that this is going to go okay, and we are going to have a resolution in the positive world. So don't follow me if you can't. But don't invest money you can't afford to lose. Don't follow me just because you're following me. But I'm using proper risk management, so should you. So until next time, people, I love you. I hope you do the best, and then we'll see how this goes. Boom.